Hi guys, I'm Trainer Dan and we're going to have a look at an upright row, and it's a variation of an upright row. So there's different positions that we can place our hands that are going to achieve slightly different results, and there's a purpose for us actually adjusting our hand positions. Now we're going to have a look at the close grip upright row, so that's a nice close grip in there. But before I go into the technique, I'll just explain a couple of easy benefits that are there. Now, it's the easiest upright row to function, and I do recommend this for beginners or even intermediate to advanced for developing your technique. It really helps you lift those elbows nice and high, which even when we're going wider is actually the main emphasis that we should be placing while we're going through this upright row action. By practicing that, you create some nice muscle memory to get them elbows high. What you can tend to see is people overload the weight and on any angle, even if it's kind of low, these elbows just sit too low, and you need them high to be able to really engage the deltoid and get that little squeeze through the trapezius. Now, another thing with this in particular, the close grip, is if you're going to engage the trapezius a little bit more, I'm going to show you side on here, I hope you can see that there, is as you come up, we don't want to be sort of sat forwards into it too much, because that will just land the weight in the anterior delt. We want to roll it up and back. I don't know if you can tell what I've just done there, so I'll show you the difference again. So if I'm just sat forwards into it and just lifting up, there isn't going to be that much engagement through the trapezius. It will just sort of load through the anterior delt. Which, if you want to achieve that, then you go for it. But I always like to get a nice full range where I'm lifting up, but then I rotate back that little bit. If you can see that little squeeze there, and that will give me a sort of a nice little contraction, tiny bit, through the trapezius. But this won't give a huge trapezius hit with it being the close grip, so just be aware of that. And with it being an easier upright row, you're not going to feel it massively in the delts either. So then you're going, well, is it any good? Yeah, I quite like it. It's good for loading up on weight, so you can get your body used to sort of moving up through weight. It's very good for eccentric movements because it gives you that amount of control to be able to get up into it, and then because you were a little bit stronger, you can really focus that eccentric lowering down, which is really good again for your deltoid development. So, go through the movement. I've shown you enough, like so, but we'll go through it anyway. So, close grip, and literally get it in close. I like to get my hands sort of touching together on this. Slight bend in the knees. This is almost essential. Yeah, it is essential. Because this will help you engage your core. And if you have a look at my positioning there, I'll sort of turn so you can see me here a little bit. I sit down onto it. I always like to feel as if I'm sitting into the hips, so then I can pull the belly button in nice and tight, really engage that core, and that will help me keep my back up straight. Because if my legs are locked as I'm riding up here, I've got this instinct to kind of roll backwards. So if I'm sat into it with that bend in the knees, keep the weight in the heels, yes, pull that belly button in nice and tight, and then as you raise up from there, you can't really, it's very hard to sort of roll back. And I can actually feel, because I've got my core activated, you can feel your lower back kind of holding onto that kind of posture as well, which is good. You want to work that. So we've got a nice close grip, and we're just running it up the body. We want it as close to the body as possible, okay? Literally dragging it up. And elbows high, so you've got to think about leading with your elbows. We don't want to be in this position where the elbows are flat, otherwise we're just not doing anything. We want those elbows pointed right up nice and high, dragging it up, elbows pointed up, lift right back into it, and then lowering it down. And it's that smooth, controlled movement which is going to produce the best results for you. I always like to term it as when you're doing this close grip, feel as though you are dragging the weight up. Don't just be, just throwing the reps out. Feels as if like you're dragging it up. You've got good control down, elbows nice and high. Keep that continual tension through it, and you should get a good pump. So what I'm looking for, in a sense, with this close grip, I like how I said what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. What I like to use it for: warm-ups, because it's just nice and gentle. You're not overloading the deltoid at all. It's also good for them progressing on to practicing your range of movement. Really good for working with eccentrics. And it is good for loading up on weight and getting your body used to working with heavier weight to then sort of bringing it out and going wider. So for example, when I say that, you might even want to mix it. So you could perhaps start with a close grip with your warm-up, practicing your technique, and then take it for a little bit wider, really hitting in nice and strong on the delts and the traps there. And then you could perhaps go put a set in where you're going to go, right, I'm going to get the weight up now just to finish, concentrate on some eccentrics on the way down, and then load the weight up, work back in on that close grip. So it's really good, and it's good to have these different sort of angles to hit your shoulders and your traps in different ways.